Good evening. Welcome to the December 16th board meeting of the Village of Trustees. This meeting is now called to order. We'll begin with the pledge.
Flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Trustee Levin?
Here.
Trustee Quezada?
Present.
Trustee Codman?
Present.
And Mayor Garrity.
Present.
Do we have any mayors and trustees announcements?
I would like to open with just a statement recapping this year. It's our last planned, anyway, village board meeting for 2015. And there have been a lot of exciting things happening this year, including a lot of changes, not least of which is some of the people who sit right up here at this table. And this board and the staff we work so closely with have spent many, many long Wednesday nights together making exciting things happen for our community. I'm particularly pleased by some of the initiatives that we have already underway that are helping us move closer to our big picture goals, particularly when it comes to efficiency and energy and sustainability. One of the things that we look at is how is that going to save money for our residents. And two projects that are underway, you've probably seen that we have some new streetlights, and we're going to have all new streetlights throughout the village, and we're partnering with our friends in the unincorporated part of the town as well to have all new LED streetlights. And that's a project that has been discussed for just over 2 years, and it's really very satisfying to see it happening, and this board made a lot of thoughtful decisions about how to move forward, and thank you very much to the staff who helped lead that project. When the other energy-related one, you were paying attention to our meetings a couple weeks ago, then you saw that we had Executive Director of Sustainable Westchester, Leo Wegman, come and talk to us about Community Energy Choice Aggregation, which is a program that we're going to see get underway, I believe, 2016, and it's going to save energy costs, electric bills initially, and then later on natural gas costs for our residents and small business owners. And then there will be an option if you would like to opt into renewable energy. So those are two exciting ways that we are helping save taxpayer dollars and fulfill our efficiency goals, both from an economic standpoint and from a sustainability, ecologically sound standpoint. One of our other big picture goals, I've been having these one-on-one meetings with all the trustees, and I just finished today. Everybody here, as well as our incoming trustee, Quantel Bazemore, who will join us January 1st. And it's great to see so much consensus among big picture goals. And I will say, after that, when you talk about what are the initiatives that you really care the most about, then there's a differentiation of opinion and priorities, which is great, including some differences of opinion, which I think is also healthy. But everybody agrees that communication and accessibility and openness of village government is a top priority. And there are many ways that we are going to be working, and we are working to achieve that. And I will tell you, one thing that I did this year, yesterday I held my last open office hours for this year, and I'll be back on January 5th, the first Tuesday. And if you don't know already, I am at Village Hall in the Board of Trustees office, which is on the first floor right through the board meeting room, every Tuesday from 10 a.m. until noon. And you don't need an appointment, just show up. I was asked what was my smartest decision of the year, and I have to say it was recommending that Dana White become our village historian. She's done an outstanding job at really researching the village's history and learning from members of our community and organizations in our community, and one of the most exciting projects that she undertook was creating the half-hour video that I know we've all seen and many of you have probably seen. It's available on the village website and on the village YouTube channel, and it tells, it's a half-hour long, and it tells the history of downtown Ossining, focusing right on Market Square, and it's just a magnificent piece. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. And I know she's got a lot more exciting ways to bring Ossining's history to the public, to be able to really share it in a new way that's very accessible. And we're going to begin in January with sharing with each other, and the manager, and the community, what are our big picture goals and some of our priorities for how to achieve those goals in in 2016. So I thank you very much for the opportunity to serve as your mayor. This is my first year in office, and I feel pretty terrific about all that this board, this staff has been able to accomplish, and I'm really optimistic about the projects that we've laid the groundwork for and that are beginning to get underway.
I just wanted to say that the past few months have been a really exciting time for learning. I'm glad that I went through I think it's a full cycle of the budget cycle, which I found to be enlightening, and hope that I had some valuable input that everybody else learned from me and that I learned from everybody else. I do want to wish everybody a very wonderful holiday season, a very Merry Christmas to those celebrating the holiday, and, you know, just a great new year for 2016.
Yeah, I'd like to, I guess I'd just like to thank our first responders this year. You know, I'm the liaison to the fire department, but we also have a tremendous police department and also the volunteer ambulance corps. I can't say how impressive and how amazing their commitment is to our safety and to the betterment of the community. That is truly a blessing for everybody, not only our citizens but our businesses. And my best wishes to them, health and happiness for the new year. And again, it's been my honor to serve on this board this year. I think we've achieved a lot of things, and there's a lot of change made, and there's a lot of change to come. And I think everybody, all our constituents and taxpayers will get the benefit of that. Thank you.
I think most everything was said by my colleagues, so I just want to thank the village of Ossining as a whole to allow us to represent you as a board and to bring these different ideas to what we are living, the time that we're living on right now. So I think it's very exciting to see bring part in how can we take advantage of solar panels, LED products, and things of that nature. But there's a lot more things going on, and I think a lot of more exciting things are going to happen next year as well. So stay tuned. Please have safety holidays, New Year, because I don't think we're going to see each other for a few weeks at least on TV. We'll see each other on the streets, and I definitely want to thank and want to echo what John said. I want to thank the OVAC Fire Department. I want to thank the Police Department for all the work that they do for this community. So thank you.
Before I turn it back over to the clerk, I'll just follow up on the comment about our first responders and how much they contribute to our community besides when alarms are going off or someone's in distress. I want to thank the police department for running the blood drive today right here in this room. It was really terrific to see so many folks who were donating blood. That blood is at Phelps, so if you or a loved one is receiving a blood transfusion over this winter, it may be from a member of this community, very likely from the police department to the fire department. I saw some DPW workers, or if you want O positive, that's my blood, at least 1 pint of it. And also earlier in the day, there was a group of multi-departments from the village, including all of our first responder organizations were represented. And we took a walk on one of those projects that we've been working on for a couple of years, which is the Sing Sing Hill Greenway, which I think is going to be a really magnificent treasure in our community. We're looking forward to having it open to the public in 2015. And today's meeting was for everybody to take a look from a health and safety perspective of what is the best way to make this accessible to the public and to everybody who joined us for that walk and participated in that discussion. And it'll come back for the board to take a look at what are the recommendations that came out of that when we meet. Thank you. With that, we'll stop talking for a minute.
Okay, we'll move on to administrative reports. We'll begin with Village Manager Abraham Zambrano.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and trustees. I just want to say a couple of things. As the year winds down, as it has been said already, I look forward to working with the board in 2016. Having worked on the budget for that year, actually, I think that there's a lot of initiatives that will be put into place, and look forward to working with you, and also again looking into 2017 as well as the year continues. For the general public, the documents for the adopted budget will be posted on the website as soon as all the files are actually completed, or the files are actually can be posted. That will be done within the next couple of days. So the other thing I wanted just to mention is that I look forward again to sitting with the board and getting your initiatives for 2016. I will, as I mentioned at the last board meeting, will have the department heads also provide the goals that they hope to accomplish in the year to come as well. While we were also, I wanted to mention about the Sing Sing Kill. I think it's a project again that is going to be, I think, a star of the village, and I think is going to be able to attract and hopefully it will help us with the economic development as the year went down and people visit the village. And the many restaurants we have. Before I forget, the other thing I wanted to mention is I had attended along with Mayor Garrity and Corporation Counsel Dickinson Pace University's Land Use Conference this past Friday. It was a day that was certainly well spent, and this year's theme on the conference was reflecting on the past, planning for future, and celebrating 100th anniversary of planning in the United States. I think that they had many sessions, which we actually, some of us attended them together, but I think that the overall theme that I took from the conference itself was the fact that transit-oriented districts and downtown redevelopment is one of the things that that's happening out there. And I think that our village has a lot to offer when it comes to that. I think we have the perfect infrastructure to be able to develop not only a waterfront, but be able to attract, I think, a lot of businesses into the village, into the downtown and the waterfront. So I look forward to be able to perhaps work with the board and the land use boards to make some of these things happen. Lastly, I would like to congratulate Chief Joe Burton. It's been a pleasure working with him. I know he's not here today, but I want to wish him a busy retirement. So congratulations. And also lastly, happy holidays to everybody and a happy and healthy new year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Corporation Counsel Orly Dixon.
Good evening. Thank you. I have been working closely with Leo Wegman, the Executive Director, on moving forward the necessary documentation for the Community Choice Aggregation Project. There are 26 municipalities, and so they've been circulating drafts of a couple of documents. So I'll need to come back to you probably the first meeting in January with a definitive document, and I will be providing that draft to you in advance, and we'll need the authorization to execute that. This will be an agency situation whereby Sustainable Westchester will be representing us for the RFP process in order to go through the bidding to attract the bids from the various energy services providers. So since they'll be standing in our stead, it's necessary for us to enter into an agreement directly with the Sustainable Westchester to meet procurement laws. So we'll be doing that, and then there'll be eventually a tri-party agreement between Sustainable Westchester, ourselves, and the eventual winner of the bid. So that will be coming. There are two documents that will be coming forward, and I've been working with him pretty closely. Just a reminder also, the text amendment, your last and final introductory local law for 2015 is coming back for a public hearing on the 6th. I have heard from Jackie at the Planning Department that it's been on the agendas at the EAC, and they have found consistency with your LWRP. We'll be getting those minutes in advance of your hearing, and I understand the Planning Board also has made positive recommendations on that text amendment. Taking a look at another text amendment which we'll be bringing forward as an introductory law in 2016, and I just wanted to remind the board, in your conversations, if you receive more suggestions on ways we can improve the zoning code by amending text, we welcome the opportunity. I welcome the opportunity to tackle that on behalf of the residents. It's an honor to work on their behalf, and I welcome those kinds of projects because they're very creative, and it gives me a chance to stretch a little bit, and I like that very much. Also wanted to thank the board for permitting me to do so much work and effort volunteer-wise for the Sing Sing Museum project. I enjoy very much working with Jerry Fiala on that HHRT initiative, and we are moving forward despite some recent bad news on the loss of some grant funding, but Jerry's positive. I did run into him on Saturday evening, and I would love to be drinking whatever beverages he drinks because he always has a smile and he's always happy and positive that it's not a problem. We're moving forward, and it's an exciting project, and I look forward to seeing that come to fruition on behalf of the village. You have a jam-packed agenda this evening, most of which has been aired in public. I just wanted to point out that we are I have added a Resolution H on at the request of the Finance Office, just so we can move forward a purchase order in this on this voucher run, so we can move forward with entering into a memorandum of agreement with Woodward and Curran and Engineering Services. This has to do with, and Andy will probably bring this up in his report, another SCADA control panel, this time for a pump station, a local pump station. So that came forward later, and the Tyler Technologies for the Munis software is on this evening. This is a wonderful opportunity, and one of those ways the village is seeking efficiencies and moving forward with technology, and that's going to be very exciting. I have broken it out so you can see the dollar figure that will be passed through to the town within your current finance IMA. So the manager asked me to break that dollar amount out, so I did, and it's apparent for that purpose. So those are the ones that we haven't talked about quite so much, and I will hand it back to the clerk and end by saying Happy New Year to everyone, and for those who celebrate, a very Merry Christmas.
Lori Lee, could I just confirm or clarify when you referred to the loss of the grant for the Sing Sing Museum? You're referring to the potential grant, the URI
Yes.
application that
The
went to the
URI
okay,
application
which was
went
the whole
upstate.
Hudson Valley did not get awarded that.
No
It
one
was
in the
okay.
Hudson Valley
Right.
did,
Okay.
yeah.
All
Yeah,
right. All right. It wasn't a loss of something we're already
No,
counting on. Okay.
No, nothing.
Good.
And that's how Jerry put it. He said we weren't hanging our hat on it because it wasn't actually installed on the wall yet. So
Oh, sure wasn't. All right.
onward and upward. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Do we know whether Chief Burton is coming?
If it's okay with the
All
clerk,
right.
when he arrives, I'm comfortable having his administrative report at his convenience.
Okay, well, I'll move on to Fire Chief Matt Scarduzio.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the board.
Evening.
To date, the fire department has responded to 618 alarms. As we all know, we responded to a couple major fires this past month. The first one was at 61 Charter Circle. The second one was at 220 North Highland Avenue. I want to thank the OPD. I want to thank OVAC, the village manager, the mayor, and Chris from the Parks Department. During these events, the quick response of everybody's actions helps makes our jobs easier and is greatly appreciated. I would also like to thank the members of our department for their quick response times and their aggressiveness on fighting these difficult fires that we've been facing recently. I don't know if winter's coming, but a reminder to all, if winter does start coming, we start getting a lot of snow. Adopt a hydrant in your neighborhood. Please keep your hydrants clean on your streets. It'll definitely help us out. Hopefully we don't have to use them, but if we do, it'll make our jobs easier. I also want to thank the board for everything they've done for the fire department throughout this year. I'm definitely looking forward to working with you guys for one more year during my term. It's been a pleasure, and I wish everybody a happy holiday season and a happy new year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
And to you too. We have an arriving guest.
We do.
There he is.
There he is.
There he is.
Man of the hour.
Police Chief Joseph Burton.
Oh,
Find my glasses first. Okay. On to statistics for November 2015. Lotto entries recorded, 3,356. Park, walk, and talk throughout the patrol areas and school safety checks, 1,535. Vehicle and traffic summons issued, 397. Parking summonses, 694. Part 1 crimes and uniform crime reports were 16. Arrests for the month were 91. 61 penal law arrests, 32 village ordinance arrests, and 27 vehicle and traffic. And that, Mayor and the village board, someplace between 900 and 1,000. This is my last official meeting with the Village of Ossining, and I thank you. And the only thing I ask you to do, ladies and gentlemen sitting on the other side of the room, support them as you have, because they're a great bunch of people. Thank you. And with that, I have to go to my next meeting. Wayne American Legion. I've only had 3 meetings at the same time because I came from the Board of Education. So Kevin will be taking over the rest of the meeting, and I bid you adieu. Thank you.
Can you stay for one moment while we thank
Sure.
you? Well, I'll be quick, but I will say, I remember as a new trustee coming in, which wasn't all that long ago, especially when I consider your tenure in this department. You not only gave me a tour of the building and told me the history of the building and the history of all the artwork and all the stories the artwork told. You told me that once a crime has been committed, we have already failed, which was such a powerful message and has really been how you have led this department with such a dedication to reaching out to the community. You did it so powerfully and continue to do it through youth sports, and have inspired this department to do great things from a perspective of community policing, and have left an incredible legacy in not just this wonderful facility, but in the lives of generations of families in our community who are safer and so much better off because of your service. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been an honor to serve as mayor in your very final year here. We look forward to seeing you at Historic Society events, and I'm sure many other events for outside of this building.
Thank you.
Did anybody else want to?
My wife thanks you from the back of the room.
Thank you, Daddy.
Village Engineer Paul Fraioli.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays,
To you.
Happy Hanukkah, and everything applicable, and Happy New Year. I can't believe Joe's not staying for my report.
Don't take it personally.
I won't. I'm sure he's going to go home and watch it on TV later anyway. So in that vein, I will tell you that upwards of 18 years ago, I met Joe before I was employed with the village. I was a consultant, and I had met Joe and Ms. Mary Ann Roberts probably within the same week when I was doing some consulting work for the village, and they own the distinction of, I guess, knowing me the longest. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but either way, I wish Joe happy travels and a wonderful retirement. He's a deserved guy, and that crowd Saturday night and the things that they had to say were testimony to his service. So good luck, Joe. Hopefully, maybe this gets relayed to you somehow, some way. On to some DPW business. The crews have been out there collecting leaves probably since early to mid-November. We worked a little overtime to get that first leaf blitz when they all fall down at once, it seems. And I think they caught up pretty nicely, that in conjunction with the public signing on more and more to the organic bagging of organic waste for weekly pickup. And I think the roads look pretty good. I could also tell you that people are really catching on to keeping leaves out of the street for the most part. So it's been a very successful collection so far, and if they haven't hit you twice already, which most of the village they have, they will be probably this week. And referencing Chief Scarduzio's comments about the winter coming, we're supposed to be in the 60s again next week, which has kept us right in line with the organics collection, and that's always what we like to see, have nice clean roads, removed of all organics before the first harsh weather comes in. So no complaints here with regard to the White Christmas. Another sanitation and recycling item I want to point out is, I think I mentioned it last week, but I bought an example this week, is the OOPS stickers that we went and ordered. We created an offshoot of what the county had offered us, and we made it more specific to Ossining. We also made English and Spanish versions, and the sanitation foreman has been out and about, and when the fellas see something put out either on the wrong day or improperly, or mixed waste or improperly recycled items, there's a list of things here that the foreman is actually appending to that waste after it's removed and put back onto the private property. And it's again, it parallels what the county gave us, which was a little more generic, and we made it specific to be a little more instructional and educational to the residents. And we're calling that the OOPS sticker. And so if you see these on any waste that you're wondering why a couch wasn't picked up on a Friday or a TV monitor wasn't picked up on a Monday, because you made an oops and you need to correct it, and we try to be as explanatory as we can with these stickers. And I think it's going to go a long way in educating the public, in addition to our other venues like the internet and our solid waste newsletter, which everybody will receive by the new year. Relative to Resolution C tonight in the agenda, which lists all your sidewalk assessments, those sidewalk assessment recouping of about $28,000 from the residents who signed on to have their sidewalks replaced or concurred with the number that we told them it would cost if we did it for them. And the CHIPS money in excess of roughly $150,000 means we received just a little under $200,000 of the $300,000 estimated expenditure that we made on all right-of-way work, that being paving, concrete, curb, etc. So that was a nice offset that we don't have to levy on to the general fund taxpayer. We did the majority of that out of either water sewer fund or a little bit into our paving line. I could tell you next year, because of the board's commitment to get back to some of the basics with the paving, there's almost $800,000 in the capital plan, and I'll probably be within a couple of months in front of you all with some recommended roads, and we'll talk about it, and we'll figure out how we're going to spend that money wisely within the right-of-way work. Today, it was already spoken about a little bit by the mayor and the manager, but just to append some of their Kilbrook Greenway comments, I appreciate OPD, OFD, and OVAC's commitment today to come to the meeting, because it was really a daytime OEM meeting, and it was very productive. And I think we had some positive critiquing going on, and I think once we eventually have a full-blown ribbon cutting, I guess, in the spring where everything's done and complete, that it's going to be a very not only beautiful venue, but a safe venue and a well-used venue and a properly operated and maintained venue, and that's really what matters. So there's a lot of strategizing going on behind the scenes other than just opening up the gates and allowing the public to come in. So that should all be locked up and tied and T's crossed and I's dotted and everything in time for the eventual opening. Again, earlier we mentioned the LEDs that are going up. I'm going to do just an intrinsic guess if about 30% of the lights are up in place now. But one thing I wanted to reference, if you actually don't stare at the light, that could be a little uncomfortable. But if you actually look up at the light, sometimes on some of the lower wattages, you don't even see the diode until you get right underneath it, because that's what we referenced very early on when Trustee Codman wanted a little more investigation into dark skies, etc. If you look, and the nice part about having the installation going on and having the other lights active, you could actually look at an old Cobra head, Halide Cobra head, and you can see the actual glow and the light kind of dispersing everywhere, including the street, but everywhere else, which is what you don't want. And then you have these LED fixtures, and if you go there, particularly on like either a foggy or a misty night, you could actually see the light and how it's directional and cast, and it casts right to where it's supposed to be, which is the road, and it doesn't send off a lot of like ambient light. So you have a very specific use for that light, and these LEDs not only do it more efficiently, but they're there and they do what they're supposed to do. And I think they look pretty cool too. And once they're all in and in place, I think we're gonna get a pretty decent wow effect from that. So I'm looking forward to that coming to fruition. That's it. Thank you.
I have
Again,
one question.
Happy holidays.
Most of the feedback I've been getting from community members so far about the LEDs is they're very happy about it and excited. But if anybody does have concerns about suddenly light coming into their windows or something along those lines, should they contact your office so that any concerns might be reviewed later on if there's some
Absolutely.
way to
Contact
adjust
our
it?
office. We're keeping a running log. I know there was a lot of people that showed up for that light at the end of Todd Place. And because of the amount of people that came in at that time, and we did realize that there was no light there, we're actually working on putting that light in place now. But remember, every new light requires to be energized by Con Edison, and that gets put on a list, and you have to wait. So even though the light might be there within a month or so, it might not be energized for maybe a couple more after that. But we will get there eventually. And yes, any complaints about where's my LED, or even if you just want to talk about it, you can call the office, because everybody there is pretty versed, and if not, we will reference someone that's more versed than us, and we'll get an answer.
And the number to that office again is?
The Public Works phone number is 914-941-4660.
You got it?
One of the comments from one of my constituents was that they felt like they were in the twilight zone, which I thought was, I never heard anybody talk like that before, but I think they meant it in a really good way. But anyway, that was just anecdotal. I guess the question I had was, it seems like a lot of the side streets are getting done, like neighborhoods and stuff like that, because I know Ferris Place got done, and I'm very appreciative of the light. I like it is really natural light, and you can see colors and stuff, whereas the old ones, all the color would be washed out of things. Are there plans for, like Croton Avenue and some of the more major ones, or that's something that, those are our lights, right, in addition to the other side streets and stuff, neighborhoods, right?
Every fixture in every right-of-way in the village and the town is going to be replaced with an LED fixture.
Okay.
Town's going to be a little more tricky because they have like a hodgepodge of different type of fixtures, so they couldn't buy one that's fixated on one stanchion. They have about 20 different types of stanchions there over the years. The village is a little more standardized, so that should be that's actually why we started there, so we can kind of get a head of steam. But yeah, every road, and I think you're going to get the bigger wow effect. And I think they actually threw a couple up on Highland, if I'm not mistaken. I'm actually going to drive around tonight after the meeting a little bit. But like Upper Croton has them. There's places where they skip one here and there, and it might be because they couldn't access it with the bucket they had that day, or there was something wrong with that fixture, or there's something screwy about that stanchion that they didn't want to mess with. So you're going to see spaces where, oh, why didn't they put one there? It could be a number of things. It could be an oops, not a sticker oops, but an oops that they just forgot it, or they missed it, or they took a break and they went back and started in the wrong place. They're just people. But at the end of the day, every fixture is going to be replaced, accounted, and adjusted in the Con Ed NYPA database for the reduction in wattage, anticipated use, and that's how we get our reduced bill. And once we get the documentation that's all in place, that reduced bill is reflected, and then the savings is used to pay for the capital expenditure, and that's the contract you sign that had a 7-year pay down. So there's no borrow for this. It's a recoup and then pay, recoup and then pay. And Corporation Council, actually, that was the catch in the contract, that they wanted an upfront, but we said we're not going to pay until we have a recoup of monies. So that's how our contract is written, and that's why you don't see a borrow, and that's why we're able to start this without an estoppel period.
I know you said this already. Can you just say again the date that they're all going to be done? Everything will be done.
I think I estimated it last time. I don't know if I gave you an exact date, but I think we probably have about another month in the village, and then the town could be another couple of months. So we're going to go right through the winter, and in the springtime we should have most everything done and complete, and some of the extras and things like that, and retrofits and possibly added lights, or maybe we're going to change some wattages. That's what I kind of envision doing in the spring and the summer. But I definitely by the end of the spring, I think 99% there.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Superintendent of Water and Sewers, Andrew Teese.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. Union Brook Reservoir is at 100%, which is nice. Last month we were at 99%. Currently we're purchasing 85% of our water from New York City. Last month we were 75%. A little bit more difficult to treat the water this time of year. It's like the first year in the 11 years I've been here where turbidity is a little higher, the water temperature is warmer, and the reservoirs are constantly turning over. Normally we get the colder weather and then turbidity settles out, but it's working out well at the treatment plant for now. Harbor Square developers completed 25% of the installation in the new 12-inch water main on Snowden Avenue. The goal is to complete the remaining 1,200 linear feet by June of 2016 before people move in. Corporation Council is currently reviewing the Hazen Sawyer Standard Agreement for engineering services related to designing and the construction of the new water treatment plant. Once all the comments are made, we will forward the comments to Hazen and Sawyer and have them submit us a finalized agreement for execution. If Resolution H is passed tonight, that's what Lori Lee had talked about, we will start the installation of a new SCADA system at the Havel Street pump station. So over the last year and a half, we've automated all the pump stations. This is the final pump station that needs to be automated. And the advantage of this is it allows us to run our pumps at lower speeds, which saves electricity, saves on the demand charge. Also, it gives us the ability to isolate pressure zones of our water distribution system, so we can lower our losses in the system. Water distribution works since last month. 6 Tuttle Drive, 6-inch water break. 41 Gordon Avenue, 6-inch water break. Cedar Lane and Westview, 6-inch water break. Hillcrest Avenue and Fowler, we installed a new 6-inch valve so we could isolate it and you don't have to shut the plant down if there's a break there or not provide water to GE. Trevano and Somerstown installed a new 6-inch valve. I wish Chief Burton an enjoyable retirement and best of luck. And I wish everybody a happy holidays and a happy new year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
On to Treasurer Thomas Warren. However, I am going to be Thomas Warren this evening. Excuse me. 12/16/2015 Treasurer's Monthly Report. Property taxes. With the 2016 new year nearly upon us, I have this reminder for the payment collection of village property taxes. First installment of 2016 village property taxes is due next month by January 31st without penalty. Tax payments may be made in person at 16 Croton Avenue, 2nd floor, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. By mail or via the village's website in January, www.villageofaustining.org. 2016 tax bills are slated to be mailed in late December. Question taxpayers should call us at 941-2581. As the 2015 fiscal year end comes to a close, unpaid current property taxes of $299,334 excuse me, is comparable to the percentage of unpaid 2014 taxes at 12/31/2014, a very high 98.62% collected rate. We are still collecting 2015 and prior year property tax liens through monthly letters, and we will begin another year of the interim enforcement of tax liens. Good news also on the unpaid prior year tax liens. The amount of unpaid tax liens is $260,811, is also comparable to the amount of unpaid time last year. Mortgage tax. Mixed news on the second half mortgage tax revenue payment that we received just this week. The village's share was $102,698, which is 32% more than the first half payment this year and 5.9% more than the second payment last year. This payment brings our total 2015 mortgage tax revenue amount to $180,595, which unfortunately is $19,405 less than the $200,000 amount budgeted for the year. Other revenues. Better news for the other village revenues as we approach year end. Several of our departmental revenues for 2015 have been meeting and exceeding last year's revenues to date and should exceed amounts estimated in the budget. Same situation exists for water and sewer fund revenues, year-to-date versus last year. Next month, we'll start recording year-end receivables. You'll be able to give a better estimate of the fiscal year 2015 revenue as a whole. Overnight parking, and as a reminder, because many of them are on a calendar year basis, the Finance Department is receiving and processing the hardship parking exemption applications, aka overnight parking applications. The application form is on the website and is available from the clerk's office, Finance Department, Police Department, and Town Court hallway. Tonight's agenda. Tonight's voucher detail appears to be an extraordinarily high at over $3.8 million. However, I want to point out that it includes an annual employer contribution to the New York State retirement system of $3,324,962. Also, a year-end housekeeping matters on tonight's agenda. The agenda includes a resolution to put unpaid water sewer charges on the 2016 tax roll. Final unpaid list will be filed with the village clerk tomorrow, which includes accrued penalties through January of 2016. And a final note, I wish to congratulate Chief Joseph Burton on his many years of dedicated service to the village and wish him a happy and well-deserved retirement. Move on to Superintendent of Parks and Recreations, Christopher Soy.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees.
Good evening.
Administrative report for November 19th through December 16th. For the recreation programs, our winter program brochure was completed and distributed via our department's email distribution list on Monday, November 30th. It was also posted on the village website and the department Facebook page that same day. So our winter brochure, like this cover, has been out and is accessible. Winter program registration actually began yesterday, December 15th, both online and in person. So registration for all our winter programs is open and ongoing. Most programs don't start until the third week of January, but you can just check the specific program information for our start dates. New this winter, we've added a youth art class, an adult creative writing program, introduction to sewing, and a kayaking skills program to utilize our pool facility, which is exciting. I do recommend everyone check out our brochure for full details. Just to highlight one of our programs going on in season right now is our youth basketball program. The registration totals are as follows. In our first and second grade clinic, we have 44 participants. Third and fourth grade clinic, 33. Fifth and sixth grade league play is 44. Seventh and eighth grade league play is 47. And ninth and 10th grade league play is 36, which gives us a total of 204 participants in the program. Special event. Our annual tree lighting event took place on Friday, December 4th at Market Square. The Rec and Parks Department partnered with the Chamber of Commerce and State Senator Carlucci's office to bring this event to the community. Warmer temps and good promotion led to a nice turnout. As one of the park staff stated, we never gave away this much hot chocolate. So it was a good count on the numbers there. I would like to thank the Ossining Police Department and the Ossining Fire Department for their support and assistance during the event, and I'd also like to thank Johnny G, Miriam and Mike Risco, and the Ossining High School Give Me the Mike Singers for providing great holiday entertainment and sing-alongs. Our Breakfast with Santa event was held on Saturday, December 12th. We facilitated 2 seatings for the breakfast, both being filled to capacity with 100 children each. Santa arrived, greeted the children, and then met with them and handed out small gift bags. Entertainment was provided by Annie and the Natural Wonder Band. And I would like to thank Senior Recreation Leader Debbie Freider for coordinating the event, and all the department staff that worked hard and made this holiday event a success. Parks and facilities. Our Parks Department continues to work on leaf pickup, mulching, and seasonal cleaning in the parks and other areas of responsibility throughout the village. One note, we have closed the upper field at Veterans Park for the season. Even though it is the winter season, we don't have any scheduled youth sports or any athletic use scheduled, but we would like to give it a rest. So we have marked it as closed, and that field gets especially high use, particularly due to the field the access to field lights in the fall. So it does have some overuse issues. So again, we have marked it, and we'd like the community to respect that and give that field a rest. Finally, as I mentioned in last month's report, the park staff continue to work hard in support of all our department's special events, playing an integral part in the overall success of each event. They were a big part of both the tree lighting and the breakfast with Santa. And then finally, just like to wish everybody on the board, on staff, and in the community a happy holidays and happy and healthy new year.
Chris, you had a picture of the kayaking program. We actually have kayaks in our pool.
That's a stock photo.
Okay,
So,
that's not our pool?
that's
But
not-
that is what's
that is
going
what's
to be happening? And that's ages 13 and up, is that program?
Yeah.
That looks very exciting. Very cool. Thanks for bringing that. And I was able to register my kids at 9 a.m. on Tuesday for the preferred swimming lesson, and I was very pleased about that. So if you haven't signed up yet, there's limited spaces in some of those classes. If you want first choice, I would village website and that link right now. Thanks for all that you've added to that programming. It's great.
Chris, how many brochures how many pamphlets did you print up?
We don't print. We just we distribute via email and posting, and then we run off hard copies to display and that's accessible in our the community center lobby for pickup. So we actually don't print.
So just in the community center, there's hard
Yeah, and we
copies.
break it out to program area. We don't do full brochure distribution, hard copy brochure distribution.
Okay, thank you.
Director of Personnel, Linda McMahon.
Good evening, Mayor and Board of Trustees.
Good evening.
My report is really pretty short this evening. December is a very slow month in training, but have no fear, we will be getting again very early next month, and we're going to start with our commercial driver's license review. And any new safety requirements will be incorporated in our program as we move through the year. Currently working on that calendar, and I just want to extend my congratulations to Chief Burton, as well as wishing everyone a very happy holiday. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to go back a little bit. Our village manager has an additional comment.
I apologize. Actually, when I looked at my notes, I actually skipped this part that I had made earlier today. Just to let you know that last week we had posted the renderings of the proposed roundabout on Main and Spring Street, and we are soliciting from the public comments on the project. Today we have only received one question that has been emailed to Village Hall, but there have been several comments that have been posted on Facebook. So part of my the reason that I'm even talking about this is because I want to ask the public to please submit their comments, preferably via email, but we will certainly take a look at whatever is on Facebook. And we want to be able to put together the information provided, again, either via Facebook or whatever has been submitted to Village Hall via email, is in a summary that we will bring to the board at the January 13th work session for you to consider the next step on the project. So that's what I want to say.
And if they want to send it by email, is that to your
It's
address?
to J. Ceretani, that's JCERRETANI at villageofossining.org.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Completes our administrative reports for this evening. We'll move on to organizational announcements. Is there anyone who has an organizational announcement they'd like to share? Not seeing any.
I do.
Oh.
It was I didn't want to muddy up all the other stuff we were talking about with end of the year stuff. The documentary and discussion series is having their final program of the year tomorrow night, which is Thursday, December 17th. This one, the subject is about homelessness. It follows 3 homeless teens in Chicago, it so happens, and how they balance the challenges of not having a home and being teenagers and students. And following the film, as always, we will have a spirited panel discussion. I'm very pleased to have 2 great panelists with us, which is the filmmaker, Ann DeMar will be with us. She lives in New York City, so was able to come up for the program, as well as our own Karen Dottori, who is the executive director of IFCA, who can help us understand better on a local level how our community, what is the status of our community when it comes to issues, particularly of housing, but affecting people who are living in poverty, and then how does our community respond to it. So I hope you will join us. Again, it's December 17th. That's Thursday evening, tomorrow, if you're watching this live, at 6:30 at the Ossining Public Library, and as always, it is free to the public.
We'll move on to village board resolutions. Is there anyone who'd like to comment on any or all of the resolutions? Resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby approves the minutes of the December 2nd, 2015 regular meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board. Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby approves the voucher detail report dated December 16th, 2015 in the amount of $3,839,307.69. Do I have a motion?
Second.
On the board. Madam, yes, sir.
Just to reinforce Tom's comments regarding the large amount, there's a large retirement plan contribution that makes up the majority of that dollar amount.
Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Whereas various owners of real property within the Village of Austin were issued 10-day notices by the Director of Operation to install concrete sidewalk and/or driveway aprons and curbs abutting their respective properties, except with respect to those individual parcels whose owners submitted grievances or objections to such costs at the public hearing held on November 18, 2015, until such time as such grievances or objections are reviewed and resolved to the satisfaction of the Board of Trustees, and whereas the owners of such property choose not to provide their own contractor for such installation, the Director has no alternative but to order the Village of Austin Department of Public Works to install said sidewalks and/or driveway aprons and curbs abutting these properties. And whereas all owners were duly notified of the public hearing held by the Board of Trustees on November 18th, 2015 at 7:30 prevailing time to publicly hear any grievances or objections, why costs shall not be assessed, and made a lien against their respective property as provided under Section C5-23 and C532 of the Charter of the Village of Austin. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees has determined that said itemized costs are just and shall be assessed against the properties as shown on the attached schedule. Final bills, curb and sidewalk assessment 2015, batch for the year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board. Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved, the village manager of the Village of Austin hereby authorized to execute a letter agreement for the purpose of providing one 60-day extension to the preferred developer status of the Corinthian Group LLC, 120 Kisco Avenue, Suite G, Mount Kisco, New York, in connection with the property at 200 Main Street, Austin, New York. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Board? Nope.
I would like to comment, if I may. Okay. I'm actually very pleased with this extension of this particular preferred developer status. The information that we're getting from the Corinthian Group has been pretty expansive. They continue to investigate the property, and they've come up with some pretty interesting ideas, a little bit different than their original plan. But I'm encouraged by their approach, and I think that providing this extra 60 days will allow them to get their arms around the project and understand what it is that's going to happen. I get the sense that they are committed, not only in spirit, but financially as well. So I am certainly in favor of moving forward with this extension.
I do want to. They also they're going to be coming back on January 27th for a work session, just to do a quick presentation and see the progress that they have done and do the presentation that John just mentioned. So I think we are pleased before we have decided that we would like to.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And one recusal, and I'll just reiterate every time this comes up. to avoid in the appearance of any impropriety, I have recused myself from any deliberation or communication about this project because my husband has business dealings with, on a totally unrelated property, but with the preferred developer.
Resolve the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby declares the following vehicle as surplus equipment and authorizes its disposal in accordance with New York State law by sale or otherwise as is. 1997 Ford Dump, model F350, 2003 Jeep four-door SUV, a Liberty. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
On the board, Madam Clerk.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Whereas the Village of Ossing is interested in joining with the Town of Ossing, the Ossing Union Free School District, and the Ossing Public Library to encourage and facilitate a greater awareness of workplace wellness, foster a culture of individual health, and provide support for the collective long-term health and well-being of the organization's employees. And whereas the workplace environment is an important setting for health protection, health and wellness promotion, and disease prevention programs, because on average, Americans working full-time spend more than 1/3 of their day, 5 days per week, at the workplace. And whereas the workplace wellness programs have long-term positive impacts on the health of employees, families, and the greater community, all benefiting from the prevention of disease and injury and from sustained health, while at the same time these initiatives can also reduce health care costs to the employers, increase retention and productivity, reduce absenteeism, and improve employee morale. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossing hereby joins the Town of Ossing, the Ossing Union Free School District, and the Ossing Public Library to work collaboratively to create a health and wellness culture to benefit their collective employees through the implementation of an employee health and wellness program for 2016, which is intended to increase employees' awareness of and provide opportunities for and access to active recreational pursuits and programming that promote healthy lifestyle choices. And be it further resolved that in furtherance of the program, the Village of Ossing will offer certain benefits to the participating organization's employees, to the Recreation Department, initially to include the availability of 1, an identification card at the current adult village rate, 2, open swim pass at the current adult village resident rate, 3, lap swim pass at $20 per month, 4, program fee discount of 50% on all specifically designed health and wellness programs offered by the Recreation Department, and 5, free workshops promoting health and wellness. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
On the board, Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved that the village manager of the Village of Ossing is hereby authorized to accept specified portions of a sales quotation dated August 4th, 2015 from Tyler Technologies, 1 Tyler Drive, Yarmouth, Maine, and execute an agreement for a total amount not to exceed $488,610 for Munis Software's licensing and related services, $173,615 of which shall be reimbursed by the Town of Ossing pursuant to an existing finance IMA. That agreement subject to the review and approval of said agreement by Corporation Council. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board. Sure.
Yeah, I wanted to raise this up. This is a very important software purchase for the village. It's not only is it not only is it very good software for municipal government, but there are certain functionalities within the software that are going to provide really excellent services for our community. And once we get the systems installed, I think there's going to be a lot more ease of service to our taxpayers and to those who interact with village government. So I'm very excited to vote in favor of this contract.
And I would say this is certainly a good step. One of our overarching goals, which is not only to, of course, save taxpayer dollars wherever possible, and this will allow for some efficiencies, but to have more open government, because it does allow for much more accessibility of information for residents, particularly online. And this was not a decision that was made lightly. There was significant amount of time, just in the meetings that I participated in, and I know there was work leading up to those, with the folks who are providing the proposed software, and multiple departments represented from the town and the village, including up until this morning, a conference call to talk about how when we do implement this, we do it in a way that will be as flexible as possible going forward to serve the needs of all of the community, and I'm pleased to be able to support this as well.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with the comments that were made. Not only that, but this program will help different departments to work together within the town and the village. So I think it's going to facilitate a lot of that our treasurer's office does. So that's definitely a big plus, and reduce the amount of work that they have done. It's more like working with a DOS program and going to a Windows program. It's like, if you put that into a perspective, it's like, for a lot of people that they know or they used to use DOS, and something like DOS 10 now. That's how I put it. So I'm definitely in favor of this program. So thank you.
Yeah, and if I may, Mayor, one of the things too, which is important in this particular case, is the fact that you as a board will be able to have more timely data when it comes to finances. You will be able to also have information that you will be able to access directly through the portals that we're going to offer. Would you be able to extract information? So it's going to be very comprehensive and again up to date because of the processes that are going to be put into place. A lot of the purchases are going to be going through requisition processes. So it will be really an up to date system where you know exactly how much has been spent and on what. So.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved, the village manager of the Village of Ossining is hereby authorized to execute a memorandum of agreement in an amount not to exceed $25,805 with Woodward and Curran Engineering PAPC of 709 Westchester Avenue, White Plains, New York, for professional services involving the installation and on-site services in connection with the SCADA control panel for the Havel Street Pump Station, subject to the review and approval of said agreement by Corporation Council. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board. Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved, the village manager of the Village of Ossining is hereby authorized to execute the necessary documents to enter into a contract with Niagara Life and Health Insurance Company of Columbia, South Carolina, through ASG Risk Management, Inc., 2 Mountain Square, Suite 520, Portland, Maine, for stop-loss insurance coverage for the village's self-funded health plan for the term effective January 1, 2016 through December 31st, 2016 at a monthly rate per enrollee of $7.79 for aggregate premium and $152.38 for specific premium, such documents being subject to review and approval by Corporation Council. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
For a second?
On the board. Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved that upon the recommendation of the Fire Chief, Tyler Riley of Ossining, New York, was elected an active member of Senate Hook and Ladder Company No. 1 for interior firefighting at their regular meeting. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
On the board. Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolved that upon the recommendation of the Fire Chief, Devontae Harris of Ossining, New York, was elected an active member of the Cataract Hose Company No. 2 for interior firefighting at their regular meeting. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
On the board. Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Whereas the village treasurer has presented to the Board of Trustees a certificate setting forth the amounts of all delinquent unpaid water charges, including penalties, with a description of the real property affected thereby, and whereas the village treasurer has presented to the Board of Trustees a statement setting forth the amount of each lien for delinquent unpaid sewer charges in arrears, the real property affected thereby, and the name of the person in name such real property is assessed, and pursuant to Section 11-1118 of the village law, such water charges are a lien upon the premises affected thereby. And whereas pursuant to Section 452 of the General Municipal Law, such sewer charges are a lien upon the premises affected thereby. Now therefore be it resolved pursuant to Section 11-1118 of the Village Law and Section 452 of the General Municipal Law, the unpaid water and sewer charges plus penalties as set forth in the attached certificate from the village treasurers be and the same hereby are levied upon the property in default and added to the annual tax levy with respect to such property. And is further resolved that the amounts levied hereby shall be effected and enforced to the same manner and at the same time as may be provided by law for the collection and enforcement of village taxes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
On the board. Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Have any continuing business of the board?
I don't believe so. Do we have some new business, though, that's coming up?
Yes.
So that may be the pause, yes?
We have new business of the board. That is resolution authorizing use of special purpose funds as match towards the 2015 Hudson River Estuary Grants for River Access and Education. Whereas a grant application has been submitted on behalf of the Village of Ossining for potential funding under the 2015 Hudson River Estuary Grants for River Access and River Education, Round 17, with the potential of $100,000 for a project known as Village of Ossining Pier Completion, Design, and Permitting, and where said grant application requires a confirmation of available funds towards the matching percentage of 15% of any award of granting funding, and whereas the executed supplement to the LDA for the project known as Harbor Square contains the following provisions. The parties further agree to jointly work and cooperate to secure and solicit grants or other additional funding for waterfront and downtown projects committed to improving the downtown and waterfront area, and further agree that the Downtown Development Fund payment may be used for grant matches for the public improvements that are mutually agreed upon by the parties. Now therefore be resolved that the Village Board of the Village of Ossining, in accordance with the supplement to the LDA dated March 21st, 2014, and the agreement of Harbor Square LLC, hereby authorizes use of up to $15,000 from the special purpose fund known as the Downtown Development Fund to be used as a match for potential funding by a grant under the 2015 Hudson River Estuary Grants for River Access and River Education for use in connection with the project known as the Village of Ossining Pier Completion, Design, and Permitting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
On the board. Okay, yeah, we need to have some discussion here.
Yes.
This all happened very quickly. This grant opportunity was there's two pieces to the grant. We had a grant, we have a grant that is going to be moving forward, but then a resident who was very involved in doing grant proposals on to particularly related to water and tributaries to the Hudson River, saw an opportunity to get greater funding for the design of the extension dock, which is a great opportunity for us. About a half an hour before the grant was due this afternoon, there was a request that the matching funds come from a source that, to my knowledge, had never been discussed until then.
That's correct. They had not been. It just came up actually this afternoon upon when I had communications with the Office of Ginsburg Development, and initially their initial conversation was that they were going to be funding the $15,000 as a local portion of it out of their own coffers. But then I guess reading through the LDA that's referenced in the resolution that the village signed in 2014, the funds can be used upon both the village and GTC agreeing to use that for projects related to not only for the downtown but also for the waterfront. So they wanted to take the opportunity to use part of those funds as a local match for this particular grant. Again, this only came up late this afternoon, I think about like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So and the grant application was due at 3 o'clock today. So in order for us to be able to take advantage of that, I went ahead and actually provided a letter that accompanied the grant application, because we were at the 11:59 hour to be able to apply for the grant. This particular project, as the mayor mentioned before, I mean, we already have a $21,500 grant from the Department of State that was actually applied for in 2014, and the contract was not signed until May of 2015, earlier this year. The local match of that 21.5 is being provided by Ginsberg Development also as part of the, waterfront redevelopment. Since the project was actually, I don't know the exact history as to why it came to a halt back in, late last year and earlier this year. There wasn't enough funding from what I understand, but I don't know what the reasons were. So it was kind of put aside, but I think that when this grant opportunity came up, it will give us an opportunity again to be able to get additional funding from the state to be able to achieve the engineering services that we need in order for the pier extension to be designed. And that's pretty much where we are right now.
So who's putting money into this? The fund is doing 15,000. What else is happening?
Potentially $100,000.
Not potentially. What is actually
from New York State, from DEC, and then there's Ginsberg is also putting up the $21,500. That's the match to the previous grant that the village has already secured.
And the fund is the developers' money as well.
Well, the fund is not actually the developer's money. The fund is money the developer gave as a fund. I didn't understand, actually, that they have a right to withdraw money. It's actually not their right. You can't give money and then still call it your fund, right? So it says that they can take money out. It doesn't mean that they should. Right? Otherwise, we wouldn't need to vote on it.
Right, it says the village has the right to withdraw the funds upon
village
agreement.
has,
The
not
village
the
board
developer.
decides
Yeah, the
how
village
that money
board
is spent.
decides.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
That's why it's on for resolution.
So, but again, I had actually emailed all of you to get some kind of consensus, but again, because of the timing, no, I understand. Because of the timing, again, we have, and I actually did speak to representatives from GDC. I told them what the situation was, that this had to be something that the board had to approve via resolution, officially, and that we were kind of putting the cart before the horse, and that the board will have had the right to reject, the funding coming from what they had already deposited with the village. So they know what the situation is, and I think from looking at the full picture, I think one of the things that I'm sure they, meaning GDC, recognizes is the fact that if the village board doesn't authorize the funding, if we are in fact awarded the grant, you don't have to agree to this, and then if they want to go ahead and go ahead with the project, then they're going to have to foot the bill themselves. I mean, I think that the village, my understanding, had already made a commitment that any improvements would be either paid by the grant that was received in 2014, and then the contract signed early in 2015, and then Ginsberg will be footing the rest of the bill for the engineering.
Could I just clarify? The dock is public property?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Other comments before
Well,
we
I'm
move on?
still not clear what happens if we say no. I mean, I'm being asked to vote on something, right?
Right.
So I want to know what happens when I say yes, and I want to know what happens when I say no. So what happens when I say no?
And is there any reason why we have to say yes tonight?
No, I mean, at this point, the grant application was sent in. with the copy of the letter that we submitted and was sent to you earlier today. So no, it does not have to. You do not have to vote on this tonight. So we can certainly bring it back. I've actually we are discussing having representatives of Ginsburg coming to the village board at the January 26th board meeting to address a few other items. So that can be discussed at that point. And then the board can then vote on this if you decide to go ahead with it at the first meeting in February.
I will also, this board and past boards have always been very supportive of the concept of having a dock extension. There are a lot of great benefits to it. So the questions tonight should not received as anything to the contrary. In fact, a year and a half ago, the board committed to put aside $300,000 of the in lieu of parkland funds to be used for the construction, for matching funds for the construction of the dock, which we didn't get that grant because they said, well, you need to have completed design. So we went back and we're focusing on the design, for which we have partial grant. The GDC is doing the matching fund for the $21,500, and needing more money for the complete payment of the design. It's really terrific to have a community member who is helping to make this happen, found the grant and is doing the application, and that's wonderful. I'm not comfortable voting to take money out of the downtown development fund right now. We haven't even spoken to the members, to my knowledge, of the downtown development fund council, and the board. I mean, we don't all check our emails every minute of the day, so may not have even had time to read them, and certainly not discussed it until right this minute. So I'm not supportive of even voting on this right now. I would table
I didn't
it.
see it on the emails. I just looked again, but also the Wi-Fi in here. Was the council copied on any of these emails, or just us?
No,
And-
just the village board, actually. Just the-
We're-
They make recommendations to you of their own initiative. This initiative came from the outside, so only you have the right to decide to agree to this. The developer has agreed to it. It's the parties agree in this case.
Right, no, I understand.
It's not everything
But, you
gets
know,
run.
people volunteer, they sit on boards, then they hear that emails went around about things they work on, they weren't even copied on it. It doesn't feel good when you're sitting on councils and you work in your free time to not be included in things, because it zips by so quickly. So that would be another concern I have. And I think they understand the black and white of it, but this is more just about respecting people's time in the sense that they should know when they volunteer that what else goes on as it relates to something they're involved in. So I just like to, I didn't understand the urgency of why we had to do tonight, to be
So,
honest with you.
Liz, so we can actually table the item next year?
Oh, next year, wow. Sounds so far away.
Trustee Cotton, did you want to
Yeah,
comment?
I'd like to just, from a procedural perspective, and given our legislative process and how we like to deliberate things, I mean, I'm more concerned about, to be honest with you, Abe, I'm more concerned about the letter that sent to the Estuary Grants Committee, which basically commits us, commits the money. I mean, I'm looking at the wording of the letter, and it's not really a fair thing that happened here. They really put a gun to our head, and I realize these things all happen at the last minute, and not to take anything away from Gareth, who's obviously stepped up and put his own volunteer time into this because he has a passion for the Hudson River and all those other things. I'm at the end of the day, that's what this money is for. No taxpayer dollar will be spent here. I'm not happy about the process. What Trustee Levin said is certainly true, that there were other individuals that should have been consulted along the way. And I realize we didn't want to lose the opportunity to get the grant either. Obviously, it's the grant committee is the Hudson River Estuary Grants River Access funding rounds of funding, and we are on the Hudson River. I would certainly think we would qualify for it. I feel like we've already we got ourselves hanging out there, and I'm a little concerned about the letter that was sent as part of the as part of the grant application. But I guess tabling it is better than voting it down, because that would be the alternative here from a legislative perspective. So, you know, I just feel very conflicted about the whole thing. So.
If I may, actually, again, I mean, no, there was no intent on keeping anybody out of the loop. Certainly, Trustee Levin makes a very good point, as well as you. I think that, you know, considering, you know, the decision that I made to have Corporation Counsel prepare the letter was, again, one that I did not take lightly, and in fact, it was a very, very stressful afternoon because of this. But I think that, you know, in my decision process, I weighed in all the positive and all the negatives again. And again, no intent. There was no ill intent in excluding anybody in the process, including yourselves. And I had to make a decision because the availability of this funding was a very short period of time. Again, the village board certainly has the right not to approve this and not to go forward with it, in which case I think that, you know, as I had discussed it with the representatives from Ginsburg, I think that, you know, they understand that, you know, this was a process that had to have taken place in a certain way, and that we were kind of putting the cart before the horse. Again, you know, I think that, again, not that you certainly have your decision to make, and if by tabling it you will feel maybe we can get more information and maybe bring in all the parties, we can then at that point you can decide.
I just want to reiterate some of the points and sort of wrap it up, as clarify for anybody who isn't very familiar with the Downtown Development Fund, the source of that money and the process, and some of it's come to light in this conversation tonight. It was a fund that was established with money from GDC, or is it Martin personally? It was GDC, the development corp that is Ginsburg Development Corp. And it was put into the fund. The legal agreement that we have is that there are 5 members of the council who make recommendations to the board of how that money can be spent. One of the 5 is a representative from GDC. The other 4 are appointed by this board. I know that committee has been getting more active, and actually there are 2 positions. If you're interested in being part of it, it's a good time to point out that you can send a letter of intent and a resume to azambrano@villageofossining.org, and we'll be conducting interviews in the new year and looking for some people with some vested interest in our community and interesting perspectives to help make these kind of recommendations. And I appreciate the comments that Trustee Levin made, that the money is now public money, and it is to be determined by the board how it is spent. And we take very seriously and appreciate the efforts of the council, who are undergoing a process to provide us with recommendations for how to spend that money. And I will just, the term saying that no taxpayer dollars would be spent, the reality is that that fund, however we decide to spend it, is going to be spent for the benefit of our community. And it's going to be spent on things that we think are worthwhile projects for our community. And they should be worthwhile enough that we will be spending taxpayer dollars directly on those projects if we were not to have money from the Downtown Development Fund. So ultimately, this fund is not, at least as it's structured right now, a sustainable fund that's going to renew itself. It's going to be spent on investment in our local economy. And so every time we spend a portion of it, then that portion is spent. And this may be an excellent way to use it. I am not weighing in whether this is the appropriate use for the $15,000 or not. And as I said, in the past, we had earmarked in lieu of parkland funds for the dock, because that's another similar fund that is not funded directly by taxpayer collections, but rather by developers in our community for one reason or another. So I appreciate everybody's thoughtfulness and discussion here, and I also do understand the time constraints, and I very much appreciate the efforts made by village staff to support Gareth in his really terrific service to this community in finding these opportunities for additional funding to help make these priorities for the village a reality. Yes, Trustee Codman?
Yeah, I'd like to second Trustee Quesada's motion to table. I think that we're not going to make this decision tonight, and we need to get some time to kind of circle the wagons and get the other constituents together, supposedly the committee and the rest of us, to kind of fully understand what's going on. I don't think it puts us in the position of not honoring the letter either. I think it just, we could come to the decision to do it, but that would be my second to the motion. So I don't know.
How do we do that?
Procedurally, where are we with the?
Motion to table?
We have a motion to table with Trustee Quezada making the motion and Trustee Codman seconding.
On the board. Madam Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? On to visitor recognition. Is there anyone here who's come to address the board? Not seeing anyone, may I have a motion to adjourn to executive session for personnel of a particular person and then advice of counsel?
So move.
Second.
On the board. Madam Clerk?
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, with that, I thank everyone for joining us this evening, either in person or on television or online. And I wish everyone a really wonderful holiday. School's going to be out soon, and I know there's an awful lot of opportunity. Whatever you're celebrating this month, there's a lot of opportunity to connect with our neighbors and with our families, and to keep in mind all of the incredible service organizations that we have in our community. It's a good time of year from a tax position. If you have any money that you're able to donate, now's a good time to do it, and there are so many worthy organizations in our community. So I know I need to get my checkbook out by the end of the month and send out some final checks to some of the incredible service organizations that we have in Ossining that do great work on behalf of all of us every day. I look forward to seeing you at our next village board meeting, which will be right back here at the Birdsall Fagan Police Court facility, which exists thanks primarily to Chief Joseph Burton. And there's no more I can say that hasn't been said tonight or over the last several months, as we have honored him for his incredible service to our community. Please join us here January 6th for the first meeting of 2016. Adjourned.